What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Mixed Doubles Podcast. We're your hosts, Maggie Robinson
and Josh Smythe-McCauley.
We're former D1 athletes and co-workers at a major professional sports league with a passion for all things women's sports.
All opinions stated here are our own and have no affiliation with our employer whatsoever.
Okay, also, we have to apologize because we took 2 weeks off. So sorry.
A good 2-week hiatus.
A good 2-week hiatus because I got a concussion.
I know, but you got it playing the game you love.
Yeah, I mean, for better or worse. Do you know how embarrassing it is as an adult to call your employer and say, sorry, I can't come in today. I can't hear because I was hit in the head.
No, I actually don't, because I've never had that happen. No.
And let's hope it never does. Yeah, brain injury is no fun. Head trauma, would not recommend it.
No, you really don't want that.
I was also it's really humbling because I was sitting in my apartment, lights off, like no stimulus, and then I would put my sunglasses on because the light from my window was too bright.
You were trying, I mean, let's be real, because you were trying to brute force this, and I know you, but it's like, come on, dude, like sending you all these DMs and you're replying, and you shouldn't be replying. Talking about Matt, you're like, get off your phone.
Yeah, okay.
Get off your phone.
You're right. I did brute force it, or I tried to brute force it. It didn't work well because I came into the office on Wednesday. I was like, the subway's mad loud. I don't remember it being this loud. I was like, are there normally this many lights? Like, no way. And then we're sitting in our staff meeting and I'm looking around and I'm like, I wonder if they know how awkward I feel right now. Like I was fighting for my life, trying to be normal. Yeah. Couldn't do it. Left at 11. Yeah. Took a week off.
On the bright side of our hiatus was Mother's Day, as well as, little shout out here, my sister graduating from college. So
we love to see it. Where'd she go?
Supporting. She was at Howard University, graduated from the communications school, doing film and media. Oh, super hyped for her. It was so nice. It was such a cool event.
Yeah.
And then got to spend it with my whole family, and obviously got to celebrate Mother's Day with my mom, which is so great to be able to, when you're like an adult and not living with your parents anymore. Really cool. That was really cool. So that was the plus.
Yeah.
Did you get to spend it with your mom at all?
I did not. I was here in New York, but I gave her a little phone call. I'm going back home next week. I'll get to see the family.
You're good then.
Yeah.
I think it's been a while. Let's jump into it. Some big plays.
And big players. All right. I'm excited about this one. My big player who is making a big play, we're going to use both today, is Flava Flav, which I feel, let me just say, I feel like an idiot saying that. That was
Flav doesn't sound like an idiot saying his name.
No, but I do. Anyway, you might know who he is. Let's give you a little bit of background in case you don't. He's a co-founder of the rap group Public Enemy and like critically acclaimed musician, received a Lifetime Award from the Grammys. But he's now venturing into the sports world. And in maybe the most niche sport possible, he has now finalized a deal to be essentially the hype man and team sponsor for the Team USA women's water polo. What?
Say it back. Run it back. Say it again.
Flava Flav. My voice cracked. I can't take myself seriously. But Flava Flav is now the hype man and team sponsor for the USA women's water polo team ahead of the Paris Olympics.
And see, that's where I want to get in life. Right there. To be able to be the hype man and a sponsor of any team, let alone the U.S. women's water polo team. That's where I want to get in life.
Absurd. Yeah. So you can look up to him. Maybe he's your next mentor.
No, but that'd be great.
I know. Pretty crazy.
Do a little side venture into the rap game.
Please don't.
Yeah, no, it's not my thing.
You know your strengths, since maybe not one.
Yeah. Wait, so aside from that, because I know there was a little bit more to it. Why did this come up in the first place?
Team captain of USA Water Polo, Maggie Steffens, we love Maggie's, posted on Instagram asking for just like more support and more recognition of the team ahead of the Olympics. And I mean, like, water polo is a pretty small sport. I don't think there's that much financial backing, and a lot of these women have to take several other jobs just to make this work. Somehow Mr. Flava Flav, this popped up on his Instagram page, and he was like, absolutely, I will sponsor you. Like, I will be your biggest hype man. I will promote this. Like, whatever you women need, I'm here. This is just like the craziest crossover.
Shout out to Flava Flav.
Shout out for real.
Shout out to the world's best crossover episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, my big player is Serena Williams, and not for just being Serena Williams, as she could be my big player every
Right.
week, but because she was recently announced as the ESPYs host this year, 2024, which
Ooh.
will happen in July. For those of you who don't know what the ESPYs are, it's an award ceremony that celebrates the achievements of athletes. And it's been hosted by great names over the last couple of years. But she's only the fourth woman to ever host the ESPYs. The first one being Danica Patrick, who
Dang.
one of the most famous NASCAR racers.
Yeah.
And the other two, Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe or Rapinoe. Am I
Megan
pronouncing
Rapinoe.
Rapinoe? My fault. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Megan. I'm sorry. But they co-hosted it with Russell Wilson during the pandemic. So it was kind of like a hodgepodge
Oh,
deal.
I didn't actually know that, truthfully.
Yeah, so Serena will really be the second woman to host a live All In Everybody's There
Wow.
ESPYs award. And I think one of the reasons they're doing this, outside of the fact that she's the GOAT and she's my
Right.
GOAT, not like, that's Serena Williams,
Yeah.
is because they're also debuting her 8-part docuseries that's going to kind of look at her entire career called In the Arena, Serena Williams. That'll air right before the ESPYs actually start. So it'll be a great lead in.
Oh, that's great marketing. That was good
100%.
scheduling on their part.
And side note from this, it makes sense with it. Jamie Foxx did 2 songs in back-to-back years. I think he hosted 2004, 2003.
Uh-huh.
That were directed at Serena Williams. The first
Oh,
song is called Can I Be Your Tennis Ball?
no.
And he's over on stage, like sitting in a giant half tennis ball, singing to Serena Williams,
Oh my
talking about,
God.
Can I be your tennis ball? Like, it is hilarious. So
What?
I really hope Serena takes this opportunity to just clap back at Jamie
Yeah,
in some way.
she
That
better.
that would be chef's kiss. But
That would
yeah,
be
my big player.
iconic.
That's my big player. But
And with that, let's get into updates around the industry. All right, I'm going to kick us off with, as always, some really hype soccer news. The Arsenal women's team in the English Premier League, the women's side of the English Premier League, is now playing all of next season at Emirates Stadium, which is like a 60,000 person stadium. This is where the men's team plays. That's huge because they're getting so much attendance that they can book out almost all their home games in the stadium.
I don't
Great.
know if you've ever. I drove past Emirates Stadium when I was in London a couple years
Yeah.
ago. Place is insane. Place
Yeah.
is
I haven't been to Emirates Stadium, but I went to one of the Bundesliga stadiums in Germany when I was playing soccer there, and it's huge. And the atmosphere in there is just like incredible because it's so many people and just like it's British soccer or it's European soccer. Everyone gets so hype about it. So
I'm
that's
sorry.
gonna be really cool.
Back that up. When you were playing soccer in Germany, just out there.
Yeah. When I
Oh,
was in high school, I was kind of good, and I was on. So there's like, this is so tangential. I don't want to toot my own horn, but there's
go
like,
ahead, toot it.
okay, I will. Don't tell me twice. There's a league called the Olympic Development League that starts at the state level and then builds to the region level and then builds to the national team level. And so I was like on the Tennessee state team, and then I was on like the Southeast regional team, which was like made up of like 10 different states. And then from there, they selected a group to go play in Germany and England, and I was on the Germany squad. And so we went, and then they took us like a pro game there, which was really cool. I might have peaked in high school. That's
We all
okay.
did. We all did. It's all right. Not
Yeah.
all of us get to go to Germany in high school to play soccer and
I
live up
missed my prom
dreams.
for that. I really missed my prom for that. I
Wow.
know.
Wow. So you think you're
Dedicated.
better than everyone? No,
Maybe a little bit.
a little bit.
But no, that's really exciting. The vibes are going to be great in that stadium when they play. And then more big soccer stadium news. Brazil is the host of the 2027 Women's World Cup.
That's huge.
Let's go. That's the first South American country to host a Women's World Cup. Did you know that?
That's crazy.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either, because you know how big soccer is in South America.
Yeah. Brazil is like the place to be in South America for soccer.
The Mecca.
The Mecca, some might say. And so now we're going to really see if Marta comes back or if she's going to be a coach. Who knows?
She will 100% be involved in some way.
There's no way she can watch that happen on home turf and like have no part in it.
Yeah. Imagine she's just at home chilling.
She'd be shedding a tear watching that on TV, being like, that should have been me.
She'll be there in some capacity.
She might pull a Tom Brady. You think she's coming out of retirement? Place your bets now. Not that we're betting.
Can't do that.
Not that we're betting.
Not gonna do that.
All right. We talked about them a few episodes ago. They're back. They actually haven't left, but they have big news. The Professional Women's Hockey League, PWHL, had 400,000 fans in attendance for their playoff games. That is a humongous increase from their normal season attendance. I think it's like a 32% increase, which is serious. So I'm really excited to keep an eye out for this league. This is their first season with this iteration of this league. And to have 400,000 fans, it's like professional women's hockey. Like, it's a pretty niche market. That's a lot of people tuning in, paying attention. So I'm excited to see what they do from here, what kind of deals they sign with media contracts, and just definitely a league to keep an eye out for.
No, 100%. Just for context, 400,000 fans over the span of their playoff games, not just a single game. They didn't have 400,000 fans in pack an arena.
Can you imagine?
That would be a sight. No, going into the realm of college softball.
Ooh, we haven't talked about this in a minute, if ever.
No, we have, because there's been some big games.
True.
Notably UT versus Oklahoma, which are two powerhouses, Oklahoma being one of the powerhouses in college softball. They've won the past 3 World Series. And so the college softball tournament kicked off this past weekend. 64 teams involved. Final 8 teams will be moving on to the College World Series. So that's kind of how that works. It's very similar to like March Madness, but instead of it being called the Elite Eight, it's the College World Series, which is fun.
Yeah.
Get a fun nice list on it. The top 4 seeds entering this tournament. Number 1, my University of Texas Longhorns. Get your horns up, baby.
Horns up.
Get your horns up. Maggie knows about celebrating the horns. I've dragged you to.
Yeah, you did.
Parties. Number 2, the Oklahoma Sooners.
Boomer Sooner.
Don't do that. They actually beat Texas in the Big 12 tournament.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, but Texas still held on to that number 1 overall seeding. Oklahoma will be at 2. Number 3 is the University of Tennessee.
That's my UT. Can I get a go Vols?
Nope.
Get a go Big Orange?
Nope. The fake UT. And the number 4 routing it out is the University of Florida, UF, over in Gainesville.
Okay.
So the big story here, and what everybody will be paying attention to and watching, is that Oklahoma has a chance to become the first team in college softball to win 4 World Series titles in a row.
Dang.
If they run the tables and they win another World Series.
That's a dynasty.
They have been a dynasty. So that'll be really fun to watch. And then jumping back into the professional realm, looking specifically at volleyball, actually ties into college, because volleyball in the U.S. has really kicked off recently.
It really has. And also at UT, I will give you credit for that. UT's women's volleyball program is good.
Yeah, won the championship in December versus Nebraska, who was a powerhouse this year. I think they lost 1 game outside of that championship. But that game, the final, averaged 1.7 million viewers. So almost 2 million viewers tuned in for that college championship game. And I think just showed you how much attention people are paying to volleyball in the US. And so in the past, a lot of college volleyball players have gone overseas to continue their professional careers, just because those opportunities haven't been in the US. And not to overshadow some of the other leagues that have been in the US, but as recent as this year, 2 leagues have kind of popped up and have had massive funding, one of which is the Pro Volleyball Federation, which actually just finished this past weekend with their finals. And the Omaha Supernovas claimed the league's first ever championship, beating the Grand Rapids Rise. Fun name, Grand Rapids Rise.
That is fun. I like these names.
Right? Also won a $1 million cash prize for the team.
That's a lot of money.
That's brand.
Who is funding this?
I think it's actually some cool names. I think they have Jason Derulo, who we all know from middle school. Shout out, Jason Derulo. Yeah. And Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow.
Joey B. Wow.
So
interesting investor class.
There are some of the key investors. I'm sure there's a ton of other investors.
Can we talk about this wrap to sport pipeline of investments? People are realizing that women's sports are worth investing in.
And they should be.
Yeah.
Another name to shout out there, Patrick Mahomes and his wife.
Patty Mahomes. That's true. They do a lot for women's sports. He and his wife have put a lot of resources behind women's soccer, especially.
Yeah. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So The Pro Volleyball Federation obviously just had their first season. And starting this year, League One Volleyball is another pro league kicking off in the US. And the important thing here is that they just signed a media rights deal with ESPN to show 10 games on ESPN, like big ESPN, and 18 games on ESPN Plus. They haven't even played games yet, and they already have inked a deal to get 10 on air with ESPN. That feels really impactful to me. What do
That's
you
huge.
think?
No, that's
Yeah.
massive. I mean, you talk about trying to distribute your content and get in front of as many fans as possible. ESPN is one of the best places to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because sports are just synonymous with ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to talk about where people just going to automatically be like, maybe the game's on ESPN.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's probably the best place to start. And ESPN taking an interest in Love B or League One Volleyball, however we
Yeah.
call it, is a massive indicator of how much success they think they can have.
Yeah. So I
it'll be
think that's really exciting. They have 6 teams, 6 pro teams, all playing against each other. But what's key here is that they're really tapped into the fact that youth development is what makes these leagues possible, because you can't have good college players without good youth teams. So there's actually like a network of 47 different youth teams all over the US that then are like feeder clubs essentially of like trying to prime kids for college. Then they go to college, and then League One Volleyball is there for them to go into, which I think is a really good grassroots method of starting a pro league, is to be like, okay, we know we want pro, but let's start with a big network of youth.
Yeah. So they're really thinking future forward.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about, just the next 3 years, the next 4 years. They're thinking about the next 30 years. It's
Right.
gonna
This
take
is
a while
all
for some.
development.
Oh,
Yeah. These kids are like 11. So
so
in my opinion, a really good foundation for them to build. And I'm really excited to see how it plays out over the course of the next few years.
yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I know there's these 2 leagues. There's another league with Athletes Unlimited that's been running since 2021. And, I think what comes to mind is consolidation, but we'll kind of see where it all ends up. But congrats to both of these leagues. Another big thing is that the WNBA is finally here. And
Let's go.
Let's go. Come on, talk to me nice.
Let's
Like
go.
this is I won't be shy and saying I feel like the WNBA is my baby. I love basketball and been to a couple Liberty games here, but it's so fun to be able to see both the rookies coming in and the energy and buzz around the league that has just kind of come from the last season that they had, coupled with this college basketball season. So just a massive explosion. Super exciting. Maggie, I want to ask you, because we were at the game on Saturday, the Liberty versus Fever
home opener.
Woo! How was that experience for you? Because that was your first time in Barclays at a Liberty game.
Yeah. So this was my first experience ever seeing a WNBA. Whoa. So this was my first experience ever seeing a WNBA game, ever going to the Barclays Center. The crowd was electric. I was walking to find my seat and someone would score, and it was like deafening how loud it was. And the music, the in-stadium DJ, I will say, hats off, crushed it. Like the vibes were always right. And also, like, they had all these fun activations that they would do. Their mascot, Ellie the Elephant, I don't know who that dancer is in that costume. Give her a raise, because that was incredible.
Might be one of the best mascots in sports.
Oh, hands down. If you haven't seen a video, I really encourage you to look up Ellie the Elephant, New York Liberty. The dance, I want to know who that dancer is, because she crushed it. So entertaining. But no, like the vibes were so good in there. They had Billie Jean King there. We had Jason Sudeikis. We had some other pro tennis legends. Like, it honestly exceeded my expectations. I'll leave it at that.
It was super cool. And for that to be the first game that you ever saw in Barclays too, because you could always go to a Nets game, but they're just not the same, in my opinion. That one was sold out. It was packed.
It was packed.
And yeah, the celebrities came out, like you said. I know Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe got it right this time. Were in attendance. Paul Gasol was there. It was so cool. Dawn Staley was there.
I forgot about that.
The people showed out. The people of New York showed out. The people of Brooklyn showed out. It was a great environment. Fantastic way to start the season. Liberty got dubbed. So left there very happy.
Also got to see Caitlin Clark. That was pretty cool.
She played well too.
She did.
All things considered.
The Fever is just not the best team. I won't lie.
No, and that's I think one of the things that gets overlooked is you have the first pick 2 years in a row.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Because you're not that good. Sorry.
Not a great ball club. They'll get better.
They'll get better.
They'll get better. It's early in the season. Aaliyah didn't play, from what I heard, didn't play basketball this summer because she was in the broadcast booth. And kudos to her to be able to do that.
Truly.
Set up that part of her career. But obviously you could see it's taking her some time to kind of get back into.
Yeah, shake the rust off.
Exactly. But that was really cool. So glad you got to experience that. Glad we all got to go. That was
awesome. So good.
Want to talk about one of the newer developments?
Yeah, this is exciting. And you probably have heard at this point, but this is still probably the biggest news to come out of the WNBA. The Golden State team has been named, and it's the Golden State Valkyries. This team, let me back up. I had to look up what that is. I didn't know what a Valkyrie was, but now I can tell you. And do you want to know?
Well, that's because you're not into Nordic mythology.
Sorry, I'm not a nerd.
That's because you haven't watched Thor.
I have not watched Thor. I'm not really big in superhero movies.
That's fine.
But I can tell you what a Valkyrie is. So a Valkyrie in Norse mythology is like a warrior woman who embodies strength and fearlessness, and they're really skilled in combat. We love all those attributes. They're also the ones who grant an honorable afterlife to male soldiers after they die. So they're the final decision makers. Like, do you deserve this or not? They get to make that call, but they're also like dope. And like, that's a really badass name. It just has so much power behind it. And I've seen their logo. It's like the big purple wings. Their colors are really sick. They're black and purple and gray. It's an intimidating name.
100%.
So it's cool to see them partnered up because it's obviously the Golden State Warriors and now the Golden State Valkyries. So they really tied it into the men's team as well. I think this is a great name choice, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
No, that's a win all across the board. I am a geek and I do love, I won't say Norse mythology, but I do love Marvel, and Thor is probably my favorite character. So immediately when they came out with Valkyries, I was like, oh my God, Tessa Thompson, who played one of the Valkyries in one of the Thor movies. So she also shouted it out, but she does look so cool in the Thor movies as a Valkyrie. Yeah. And it's such a powerful name, as you kind of highlighted. I thought great marketing, great effort.
Yeah.
Really cool logo. They broke out the logo as well and how it kind of embodies the city as well as the Valkyries and the team's values. So yeah, badass name.
Badass name.
Another news. We're just gonna go through a bunch of WNBA news.
Yeah, we're just gonna hit all the fun highlights. So buckle up.
There's been so many. One of the biggest things that came out recently was A'ja Wilson's new shoe, A1, which I think is so cool because it kind of plays off of her name. So it's her name is A'ja, but it's AJA. There's an apostrophe after that first A. So the A1 is A'1, as a,
Oh, good.
A1 of one. Like, she's the one.
Yeah.
I think
Can you remind me all her like accolades? Like, who is she?
A'ja Wilson is a stud. This girl is a 2-time WNBA MVP. Whoa. She's been one of the greats so far in her career. She's won 2 titles already.
Oh my gosh.
She's won an SEC championship, a national championship at South Carolina. She has a statue of herself outside of the South Carolina gym.
No.
That her and her teammates went and took pictures at.
Oh my God.
A couple weeks ago. How crazy is it to like be alive? Not only be alive.
Statue of you made on your college campus.
Not only be alive, but to be still pretty young.
In your prime.
She's in her prime in the WNBA.
Oh my God.
And has a statue of herself outside of the South Carolina arena.
So she got a statue of herself before she got a shoe deal with Nike?
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit, right? Because it was interesting, the timing of this all. Obviously, Caitlin Clark came into the league. One of the big pieces of news was her shoe deal with Nike. Yep. And a lot of people were a little bit upset just because it's like, how are we going to give somebody who hasn't stepped foot on a WNBA court a shoe deal versus somebody who's literally won 2 titles, 2 MVPs?
You can't ask her to do more.
Yeah. Where's her shoe deal at? She's been with Nike. She wears Nikes. So like Nike. where's her shoe deal?
Yeah.
And so yeah, the timing was a bit weird. I think a lot of people on the internet were just saying, we did this. I don't
This
think
is
this
the
happened.
people.
This is the people. The people pushed for this to happen. Don Staley came out with a video kind of denouncing those rumors and saying that this is going to be bigger than a shoe. It's going to be a shoe plus a clothing line. Because of that, it takes time, right? It takes time
Yeah.
for these things to develop. Truthfully, I can't imagine if that's what it is. I can't imagine they just started thinking about it and threw something together. It will
This
come
has
out.
to have been in the pipeline for like a few years.
Yeah, yeah. It will release in 2025, so they do have over half a year to kind of get everything together.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it's so deserving. She's fantastic. She has embodied what it means to be a great basketball player and a great
Mm-hmm.
person, and has ushered the game into new heights. So
Yeah.
very excited to see that shoe and what it looks like, and very excited to cop some of the clothing when it comes out.
But more shoe news. Sabrina Ionescu showed up with her debut second edition of her signature shoe, the Nike Sabrina 2, at the Liberty's home opener, which we were there. We got to see her play in these shoes. They looked cool. They were purple. And those shoes are releasing to the public in June. So this is all kind of like a marketing ploy, as it should be.
100%. 100%.
They look sick though, and it was cool to see her playing them. So that's exciting news on the shoe front.
Yeah, I think the shoes look really similar to Kobe's, which I think is
I think it's intentional. Yeah,
because
it has to be.
it's storied that she had a great relationship with Kobe Bryant and Gianna Bryant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some intentionality between
Yeah.
her shoe and why it looks very similar to the Kobe's.
Yeah. More clothing line news. This is kind of a fun one. Skims just announced their partnership with the WNBA in this really big media campaign. So Skims is Kim Kardashian's shapewear brand, Kimmy K. It's what's given her the little hourglass figure is her shapewear. But
That's all.
they've already partnered with the NBA. And the WNBA was their second partnership, which I think is a kind of interesting order to do that in. But
I know Skims came out with their men's line and were pushing that really hard. So that was
right.
why they partnered with the NBA and then had a couple NFL guys, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, an interesting order. You would think, let's
Yeah.
just WNBA players, like this makes so much sense. There's a lot of synergy here.
Yeah. There was some like backlash on Instagram when the comments when I was reading it. Everyone was just like, what is this crossover? Like some people were confused by it. What do you think? Does it make sense? Is it silly?
I don't know. I mean, like, I'm all for clothing empowering women and allowing them to wear what they want to wear and feel comfortable in. And I think that's part of Skims brand. You can tell me if I honestly don't know that much about Skims, but they looked great wearing the outfits.
Yeah.
And I think they
the
got
outfits, the underwear and sports bra.
Yeah. The guys look great too. So say what you want to say. They do a great job of what they're supposed to do. It's also, I think, as an outsider, almost cool to see athletes kind of like show their body.
Yeah.
Not in like a creepy way at all, but you understand how much attention they put into keeping their bodies in top physical shape.
Yeah.
Right? Be able to perform at the highest level.
Right.
So, like ESPN has the naked issue.
Like the bodysuit. Yeah.
The body issue. Yeah. And they've always had really cool athletes be able to be vulnerable and take these photos. But at the end of the day, like you get to see so many different body types that get to perform their sport in the way that they're supposed to. And it's always such a cool shoe.
It's honestly really empowering because I remember, this sounds weird, but like my brother had ESPN, whatever. He would get that edition. I remember seeing it, and like as a young female athlete, I was like, oh, like these female soccer players from these teams, like no, they're built. Like they are not tiny people. Like
no,
you can be strong, and that is what's gonna make you really good at your sport. So to see the WNBA players, like these women are ripped. They look so good, but it's also really empowering to be like, yeah, you don't have to be sick skinny as a woman to be a marketable athlete.
Yeah.
You want to kick us off with some flights news?
Yeah, there was some really cool news in the WNBA concerning chartered flights, which has been a big push for the last couple of years, honestly. A couple weeks ago, they weren't doing chartered flights. And so the big news is that WNBA announced that they will be offering chartered flights to all teams. So that's the big news. Should have led with that. But up until a couple weeks ago, literally you saw bodyguards with Caitlin Clark and her Indiana Fever team
Hopping
walking
on a
to the
Southwest
airport
flight.
to get to their games. And, I mean, the argument was always, yeah, they're not making enough money to get chartered flights. And I'm sure that was something that, the executives were always thinking about. Because you also have to understand that when you're building a league up, the players are the people that make that run at the very end of it. Like your players are your league. That's it. And so you want to make sure that your players are comfortable and that they're playing to their highest ability, and getting charter flights is part of that. And so they're finally able to do that. If I had to guess, I'm assuming it's because they're looking towards the future and they're seeing, hey, we're going to have a really great opportunity in 2025 to get a lot more money into this league via our media deals and their commercial marketing and partnerships. So I'm sure they're going to see a lot more money coming in, and that enables them to do these chartered flights, which I think they said is going to cost around 25 million a year.
A lot of cash.
A lot of dough, but great for the players.
Yeah. I will say the few times that I remember like getting on flights for soccer, it wears on the legs and the body. I'm sure you get this too. You're not a short person. Like you're crunching up into that seat. Like your knees feel weird and you get off and you got to go shake it off for like a warm up practice. Like you never feel your best coming off those plane trips. The WNBA teams were flying back and forth constantly their entire season. That's going to take a huge toll on your body. So chartering flights, having more space, having better amenities really does just increase the level of play and enhance the player experience.
Yeah, but there was a little bit of controversy, as there always is with everything, that the WNBA on opening night had chartered flights for 2 of the 4 teams that were playing. So the Fever and the Minnesota Lynx had chartered flights, whereas the other 2 teams didn't. And you saw people like Angel Reese online who were like, that's crazy though. Like
crazy that Indiana got that. I wonder how Caitlin's feeling in her big seat.
And the WNBA came out and they were like, yes, we're rolling it out. All teams will have chartered flights by May 21st. But again, something that's great. It'll be great for the players. And hopefully in the future, you'll kind of see an increase in performance. But they've already been performing so well. We'll see.
And connected to that, Caitlin Clark's debut, where she flew in on her little private jet, was the WNBA's most watched game in decades, with an average viewership of 2.12 million viewers on ESPN2. This isn't even on big ESPN. This is on like a side. There's smaller networks. That's big numbers.
Those are huge numbers. 2 mil.
Yeah, I'd also like to say it did beat out the same time an NHL game. The people want to watch what the people want to watch, which is women's basketball.
Yeah, people were tapped in. I'm people. I was watching that game. Yeah, I think everybody wanted to see how she would fare in her first actual game in the WNBA. So the number doesn't surprise me at all. It's just off of all the hype that college women's basketball provides.
I will say though, I think it was a little hard to watch because I think everyone's expectations of her were astronomically high and like overinflated, and they expected her to have her performance of her life in her first professional game. And she played well, don't get me wrong, but like, did she live up to her crazy, insane hype that the media had built around her? Like, no. And that's fine. I don't think it would be normal if she did.
No. And that was my whole gripe a couple of weeks ago with all the hate that Diana Taurasi got for essentially just saying she's great. She's going to usher this league into an amazing place. But let's not forget the women in this league are professionals, have been professionals. They're grown-ass women. She's not just going to come in here and it's going to be a cakewalk for her or her team. So, yeah, the expectations were astronomical. And, I don't want to say she hasn't met them, but obviously it's going to be a learning curve. It's going to be an adjustment.
It's her first job. This is her first job out of college. She's learning the ropes. She's in freshman year of life.
People will argue, I probably got more time off after graduating college before starting my actual job than she did.
True. I don't know if I did, but you probably did.
Yeah, I had a good chunk of time. But all that said, she has done really well given what she's had to deal with. She's one of 4 WNBA players to score 50 plus points and 15 plus assists in her first 3 games. So join Candace Parker, Sue Bird, Nikki McCrae.
Those are good names.
Those are good names to be a part of. So look, like, she's not struggling per se, but she's definitely adjusting. But she's a shooter, and she's shooting that thing.
Yeah, she's gonna learn, and it takes time. You know, you don't start off, and nor would it be, I don't know, if she starts off at that level, like, you want to have room to grow. You want to be able to get better with practice. So I think it just makes sense. It's also a new team, new teammates. Yeah. It's hard to mesh with people. I don't think we think about that enough either. Getting thrown into a brand new team with new plays and new people next to you, that's tough. But on the rookie front, let's talk about Kate Money Martin.
Kate Money Martin. She's been getting a lot of love.
Yeah.
As she should.
Yeah.
Well, for context, she was drafted 2nd round, I believe. And the fun thing about that was she was at the draft live supporting Caitlin Clark. Yeah. And actually got to hear her name called and go up on stage. So that was,
she was caught off guard.
Yeah. And so that was kind of the first introduction to, you know, to Kate Martin. She, in this last game for the Aces, had a monster block that went viral. It was a monster block because it was against a woman who is, I want to say, 6'7".
Yeah. And Kate Martin is what? 6 foot?
Yeah, I think she's 6 foot. So she got up there and just wadded the shit out of that ball. Led that, and I'm sure she's done a bunch of other things. I think her making the team in general was kind of the first big indicator of this could be a really good player. Because that Aces team, that's a team that doesn't need that much more help.
They just
won the WNBA title last year. The majority of their team is still intact. So for her to make the roster, big deal.
Big time.
And now you've got teammates like Kelsey Plum saying things like, yeah, that's my girl. I love that kid.
To hear that from an established player that's like Kelsey Plum, that means more. Like, that really does mean more.
So we'll see how she does and how she can do in the season. I saw some people in comments being like, Kate Martin for Rookie of the Year.
Already.
One block in. Would be hilarious.
Yeah. Kelsey Plum's been active in the off season, though. She just created her own cigar deal.
And it's a great marketing play because she did have that picture, that iconic picture after the Aces won their first title with the cigar in hand or in mouth, just puffing that thing.
She looked cool. Like, she looked intimidating. Like, she had it going on.
You know, talk about top cigar after championship victories photos. It's her and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
In the Louvre. Hang them in the Louvre. But no, she's 100% capitalizing off of that and getting this deal with Kingmaker Cigar. And they'll have her logo or her initials on the cigars. And they'll sell for a pretty penny. Actually, I have no idea how much cigars really go for, so I don't know.
I'm not well versed in cigars, but it's 10 for 175.
Yeah.
I have no reference if that's a good deal or not, but you should support our girl anyway. Go buy her cigars.
And go ahead
you too can look cool while you smoke a cigar. Guaranteed.
Boom. Stamp it.
We mentioned this in our Instagram post, and it's like a little old at this point, but Candace Parker was named the president of Adidas Women's Basketball less than 2 weeks after retiring from the WNBA and professional basketball. She's playing her cards right. I respect this move. I really do. Also, so strategic on Adidas's front because she's been with them for 16 years throughout her whole career. And so she just has such a holistic view of what the athlete needs because she's lived it. Like, there's no one better, especially Candace Parker. Like, she's incredible. She's so acclaimed. So I think it's really cool to see what she'll do and what changes she'll make having been in the player role and now in the exec role. Like, how does player to boardroom translate? I'm really interested to see what she does, what line she's going to come out with, who she's going to sign next. Great moves out of her.
No, it's really cool. You see the trend in some of these brands utilizing their key sponsored players. One of her colleagues on TNT, Shaquille O'Neal, doing the same thing and got that call up from Reebok. He was announced as the president of Reebok's men's basketball. So I think a lot of them are seeing exactly what you said, the value in these athletes and their holistic understanding. So yeah, really cool stuff there. And then to kind of wrap up the whole WNBA, City of Las Vegas. This one was really recent. It's kind of funny, but the City of Las Vegas announced in a really cool fashion. Walked into the locker room, gathered all the players around, and said, "Hey, you guys have been so amazing to the city's development and our growth. We want you to keep doing what you're doing. We are going to give each of you $100,000 as a sponsorship deal." What that sponsorship deal entails is to continue playing basketball and hopefully bring us a third championship.
So the mayor walked into the locker room, said, "You guys are awesome. Here's $100K
each
for just playing on the team."
For just playing on the team.
Damn.
And we know that is more than a lot of their contracts.
I was about to say, very few people on that team are making $100K.
That's a good chunk of change. That's a good chunk of change. But you know, right after the game, the WNBA announced that they're investigating the sponsorship. We'll see what comes out of it. I hope the best for them. I hope they get to keep all that money. They deserve it. They are a huge asset to the city of Las Vegas.
Totally. It does make you wonder, given the Las Vegas background. I don't know. I'm not speculating. I'm just thinking. Who knows? I hope they get their bag, though. $100K, Richard? I'd love that.
I would
get Kate Martin her money. Get Kate Money Martin her money. Put it in her middle name.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
And with that, we'll close out.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We have some exciting news coming up. We are launching our interview series at the end of this week, so stay tuned for another episode. As always, you know where to find us, anywhere you listen to podcasts, and most importantly, hit us with a follow on Spotify, hit us with a follow on Apple Podcasts, and hit us with a follow on Mixed Doubles Pod 1D on Instagram. And with that, we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks so much for listening.
You can't see me, but I'm dancing.
He's dancing. Oh, he's doing. What is that?
I don't know.
Give me some music. And with that, we will see you guys next week. Thank you.
All right, stop the recording.
Stop. Stop.